So after Julie Jaman was banned from the YMCA, and, you know, they say that they asked her to leave. They didn't ask her to leave. She asked for the police to be called. She wanted to report what she thought was something that was wrong. The YMCA manager, the CEO, Wendy Bart, and Libby Winstrom were not in the bathroom that day at the YMCA. Okay, it was kids, Julie Jaman, and the YMCA employee that had no label of being an employee. And then some wild stories made up by the YMCA manager. She flat out lied. She wasn't in the room. She just made it up based on hearsay. The 911 call, the employee says, Julie said, "Are you LGBTQ community?" Like what 80-year-old would say that? "Are you LGBTQ? I'm 50. I wouldn't do that. Like I'm naked in the shower," or even if like they claim she's dressed. You look at it and you're like, "Are you LGBTQ plus member?" That's what the 911 call, the employee said on the call. It's ridiculous, right? So they're like, "Why are you in here?" Or, are you gay? Or, I mean, I can't even think that. Why would you lean out and go, "Oh, well, it's okay to be in here if you're gay"? It doesn't make any sense at all, right? People fell for all this. So it's an outlandish story, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. The YMCA manager was not in the room, but yet made up this huge story. Then the YMCA manager contacts the YMCA CEO, Wendy Bart, tells her an outlandish story, including that Julie said that the employee was going to rape little girls, which is, you know, so bizarre and so out of character, like, you know. And then Wendy Bart, the CEO, didn't investigate it at all, didn't, like, question other people or consider Julie Jaman's feelings or anything. Just left a voicemail on the city manager's voicemail. And, you know, you've probably seen it. I put that out there, saying the same thing, the same defamatory lie. Libby Winstrom sent the lie to Democratic officials. She sent it to Jason Saranas. She sent it to Julia Cochran. She sent it to the Quimper Unitarian. You know, all of the people that had a broad reach, she sent her version of reality, which was like third removed hearsay. So those three women literally started an international incident from a lie. Julie Jaman is not a bigot. She's not homophobic. She's a lifelong liberal. She has no issue with gays or lesbians. What happened in the locker room was bad management and bad leadership and serious First Amendment rights violations and defamation. It would have been so easy. I mean, think about yourself in that position as a manager. You would have easily calmed down both people. You know, the YMCA employee, new job, newly, you know, experiencing what they're experiencing with their body. And an 80-year-old woman, you just calm them down and you talk to them separate. It's easy. To be so traumatized, to be so reactive and so wounded and not done any of your shadow work or have done any healing at all, for the YMCA manager to just flip out, throw Julie out, and then call Libby, and Libby calls everybody in the state, and they whip it around like a wildfire, and then city manager John Morrow, so irresponsible and so not a leader, didn't investigate it at all. Then he chimes in. Faber chimes in. Faber's emotional. They try to hide his emotional reaction. He's seeking comfort from young trans individuals. Okay? He's got a mental issue. He's admitted he's a sociopath. He was so upset at people that believed different than him. He didn't lead by neutrality of like, yes, this group needs dignity and respect, and so does this group. He just went off on anybody who supported Julie, made up his own story based on his own childhood trauma, his own shadow work he hasn't done. They all defamed Julie. They all made up their version of what happened in the locker room. No investigation. And then, when it was obvious they'd screwed up and created an international incident and created so much hate against us, then they lied and said, well, we didn't experience it. Then Morrow justified it saying, well, it was the permit process, which was a lie. Then said, oh, well, look to the Q&A for the YMCA, which they hired a PR company to do to defame Julie Jamon. Oh, well, she had been repeatedly doing things. Well, bad business, bad leadership. If she did do something down there, you have no record of it. In policies and procedures manuals, I've had many in different businesses, you would have to notify them in writing. So if you're like, well, notify them 3 times and then they're out, you'd have to notify them in writing. There's no record of Julie Jamon having a history of doing anything. And you can't just ban someone from government property for speech. I mean, they're so lawless and they're a hive mind. So it's like Lord of the Flies in Port Townsend, right? The government, the nonprofits, they all protect each other. And they all think the same. And it doesn't make any sense. They have no idea that we actually have First Amendment rights, civil rights, constitutional rights. If we get some court to look at it that's outside of the corrupt courts of Port Townsend and the corrupt law enforcement here, you can't be not corrupt because the politics demands it and the judges protect the corrupt. So anywho, 3 women created an international incident based on a dramatic version of what happened in a YMCA locker room that was so bizarre. Absolutely no leadership skills. The YMCA management should not have been in a leadership role, should not have been managing people. To walk into a locker room like that and be so dramatic and so emotional and so traumatized by your own programs and your own inner wounds and your own mental health issues that you would attack an 80-year-old woman and believe the story of 6-year-olds or whatever, and then an 18-year-old that was very distraught and confused, and not investigate anything or give some sort of timeout or talk to people. The YMCA manager was in the wrong on every level. She has, I'm going to call it mental health issues. I know we all do. She's made fun of mine. She emailed the chief of police and said that I was, about my mental health issues, and I lived in a car. But I know that she used to bring in kids, like, say, this one gal I know, her mom is a severe alcoholic, and she would hang out with the YMCA manager's family, and a lot of kids did, and then they changed it to where they all had the same name, and they were kind of cool kids, but if you think about it, it's kind of sick and twisted. When the YMCA manager's dating people that are like 25, and she's like 55, I mean, it's predatory. I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think that she's right in the head. That's just my opinion. So no wonder she flipped out on Julie Jamon when she clearly has emotional instability and should not be in a leadership role. Anyway, the 3 of those women ended up creating an international incident, and now everybody's getting sued, and they're still bullying, and they're still believing they're right. It's not okay what y'all did to Julie Jamon. Look within. Do your shadow work. Face your truth. Face your childhood traumas. And stop projecting it on everyone else. It's sick and twisted and immoral and dark and wrong. When do you let up? When do you stop gaslighting? When do you stop saying, I'm right? When do you just stop and go, I could have handled that better and I'm sorry? Never. The city, Faber, Libby, the YMCA management, YMCA CEO, the police, they're all like these clattering misogynist men in Port Townsend. Well, she's a bigot, she's a Nazi, she's a TERF, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. Like these shops downtown Port Townsend, their shirts, and they got TERF, and then they got knives like TERFs need to die, right? I mean, it's so trauma-based, so dark. Why not just show a trans person's life that you love? Oh my gosh, they transition, they're so happy, and here's their music, and here's their writing, and why not promote a trans person in love and kindness? Why promote destruction and tearing people down? It's sick.